This presentation covers an in-depth account of how the Eddon Boatyard marine railway rails were designed and installed. First, some background. The Eddon Boatyard on the historic waterfront in Gig Harbor, Washington, is a city-owned facility that is leased by the nonprofit Gig Harbor Boat Shop for operating and managing boat building programs for the community, in addition to perpetuating the working waterfront. In November 2004, a bond measure was passed by city voters which provided $3.5 million for the city to purchase the Eddon Boatyard property shown here. At that time, everything on the water was removed as part of an extensive cleanup program. This included both marine railways shown here in a 2005 photo. The city also managed the retrofitting of the aging buildings, including electrical, structural, and sprinkler systems. In 2006, the city selected Guy Hoppin's plan to lease the facility, and the Gig Harbor Boat Shop was formed to manage and operate it. Guy is a Gig Harbor Boat Shop founding member, a shipwright, and the boat shop's current president. This is one of 3 images or sectional views showing a completed Eddon Boatyard facility. The first shows the street on the left and the boatyard store, the loft, the lower floor joiner shop, and large boat building space. The inside carriage shed joins the main building. The big winch and the upper end of the outside carriage is shown as well. Continuing right is the remainder of the carriage shed, and it shows boats on both marine railways. The Eddon dock is also shown with its mast and boom. Both were installed by the city by 2009. Beyond the mast and boom is the ramp and float in deeper water. In September 2009, Eddon had its official opening ceremony, and the Gig Harbor Boat Shop had an open house. That's me here on the right. I'm a local business owner, inventor, and industrial designer. I'm here with the late Jim Whitehouse inspecting the hydraulic hoist used to lift railway sections into the lowering position. I was also one of the founding members of the Gig Harbor Boat Shop. As an avid volunteer and supporter, I worked for several years designing a new set of marine railways and new carriages based on dimensional drawings I had entered in CAD prior to their being removed in 2006. The old set of marine railways consisted of actual railroad rails, and the carriage wheels were rail-style wheels. Since there was no engineering data on the capacity of railroad rails over a 10-foot span, the distance between pilings, another rail design was required. So an 8-inch by 8-inch I-beam was chosen, on which was fitted a channel in which the carriage casters would run. This design was used in 20-foot long sections to facilitate ease of transport and assembly. By 2012, all the marine railway pilings were driven to support the rails. In 2015, the inside railways were completed by a contractor hired by the city, as shown here in a photo taken from inside the inside carriage shed. The pilings for the outside ways were cut to length. Early in 2018, the city contracted with a fabrication shop to build the outside rails and piling caps, but funds were not available to hire a contractor to install them, so I offered to supervise this installation using Gig Harbor Boat Shop volunteers to make it happen. Shown here are the rails and other railway parts which were delivered in early November 2018 and are prepared for installation. Since the crane delivering the rails could only be positioned on the dock apron, not the dock itself, the challenge for me was to design a system for moving 20-foot long, 930-pound rail beams down and into position on the piling caps, more or less by hand. A process was formed in my head to secure the first section on the piling cap, then use a rolling leapfrog to lower the next section by gravity down the 5.8-degree slope of the railway system. This photo shows the typical rail configuration of the I-beam with the 8-inch channel pre-fitted along the top. It also clearly shows a special set of roller guides that I designed and built, which had several benefits. Besides being a simple roller, they had circular guides welded to each end. A handle formed on each end to assist in handling the roller for proper placement was also designed. Should a roller need to be relocated, the rail was simply pried up from either end and lowered back down. A line is shown tied to the upper end of the rail to safely belay it into position. Another device that I built was a pivoting set of hooks used to lift the heavy rail beams, shown here with the portable electric hoist and the hydraulic engine hoist, but was also used with the tripod down the line. Steve Paris and myself are here positioning a piling cap on top of one of the pilings. This cap was designed for through bolting to the piling and has a wide platform to accommodate for the variable positions at which the piling were driven. The rail is clamped and bolted to this cap once it is aligned. Special end stops, shown here lying on top of the nearest rail, were designed and built, and these were fitted with roller bearings. One stop is bolted with its bearings on the top to the end of the rail on which the upper rail is rolled. The other, with its bearings on the bottom, is bolted to the rail being rolled. The importance of these end stops will be clear later in the video. A rail section is being lowered on the rollers shown here. The tripod I built is also depicted and is used along with the portable electric winch to lift heavy rails through the transfer process. Since the rails needed to be a precise distance from the edge of the Eddon dock, measurements were taken by Steve and myself. While Steve pries on the rail, I urge it into alignment with a sledgehammer. Installing the upland rails could occur during the day since they were not affected by tides, but as the crew entered the water, they were required to work under lights during the night when the larger night tides occurred. A better shot of the tripod at work laying down a section of rail is shown here. Here the crew is transferring the rail section from its rollers down onto the plank. Chick Murray is here holding back the downward movement of the rail and belaying the line as needed. As the rail is lowered, the crew needs to be careful to avoid pinched fingers and bring the rail down just far enough for the electric hoist to lift and move it into position to get bolted to the end of the rail above it. This is the point at which the lowering stops and the electric hoist is put to use. Often the work was pushed well into the water as the crew attempted to complete a section before the tide started rising. Steve Paris was tasked with using the cutting torch to pierce holes through the piling cap tabs and through the piling on each side. This is where a through bolt was installed to secure the cap to the piling. At some of the lowest pilings, Steve was forced to lie on his side in the wet mud to perform this task. As the rails were installed on the side closest to the dock, on the left, cross members of equal length were installed and the opposite string of rail sections were installed. Here the final sections of rails are in position to be lowered to the bottom of the string to complete the railway. This rough clip might show the rail assembly process better. Apologies for the jittery footage. Some of the crew are pictured here. Left to right, Chick Murray, Steve Paris, myself, and Guy Hoppin. Others not pictured are Jamie Storkman, Marvin Western, the late Jim Whitehouse, Tim Seamus, Stubby Huey, Sean O'Barry, who took a lot of photos, Kyle Neiman, who was the city inspector, Gino Campanoli of Campanoli Crane, and Diane. There were others that came and helped from time to time. This photo, taken later, shows the completed set of marine railways at low tide. It also shows the completed outside carriage, which was installed in 2021. All rails were installed in 8 days with no injuries while working during late night low tides and in very cold temperatures. A big thanks goes out to those who brought food and warm drinks for the hungry workers, to the substantial help of Steve Paris, and to a stellar, hard-working Gig Harbor Boat Shop crew. Thank you.